Hello, it's Scott and Rita again, another Cosmic Dialogue. Rita, you have a topic on your mind.
Yes, we just talked about the going ahead 10 years after the new wave of young ones have completely toppled the predatory system. And we allowed Love Economy Press to develop in the new way. So when we organized Love Economy Press, we just let it simmer for a bit. We didn't do a lot with it in the beginning because we could just feel that it wasn't quite time yet. And so as the months progressed and we could feel more, just as a feeling, we could feel more powerful, knowledgeable humans being placed in this world and allowed that was something real, and could feel that the predatory system, I'd been feeling for a long time that the predatory system was coming to an end. And I didn't have a method or a plan for how that was going to happen. Or I didn't have the plan because these new kids had the plan. And their natural way of being was to just say no to the old way. So we allowed Love Economy Press to develop as we could see the impact that these new souls have on all the systems of the planet. And while some people, those in power were in a panic, and we were already experiencing that panic, even though they weren't admitting it yet. You and I could feel the panic of the global oligarchy, the ones with all of the resources. We could feel that panic, but they were pretending that their old way could continue. But we knew that was not a system that we wanted to build Love Economy Press on. And so we watched the kids dismantle all authority. Authority had no impact on these kids. And it did not create chaos, as old people tend to believe. Allowing children freedom will just create chaos. That's not what happened. And we were perfectly willing to just let it unfold and teach us. And so that's how Love Economy Press got its start. And what did you see?
Well, I saw that we needed to, well, it wasn't something we needed to do, but it just happened. How we began, it was almost like a lend me your eyes kind of feeling. Lend me your perspective of these new children, of play, no authority can touch me. I am the sole authority of my life. You came up with a new poster based on these new children with these new sayings. I'm the authority of my life. No authority can touch me. All is perfect. I can't remember the words, but that was long ago, 10 years ago. We're doing more things now, but how that was kind of a precursor to it all. And there was just freedom how we could distribute. We distributed videos, we distributed ebooks. We just decided that we could drop books in places. Those little libraries became so full of Love Economy Press. Those little libraries. And so because we realized, like, what are the most small, crazy, obscure places where people will get their hands on them? Libraries, just dropping and just shoving something in a library without even like these radical distributors. So my internet froze. I know that this is totally appropriate. We learned that we could be radical distributors of this new way of Love Economy Press, all the new channelings, all the new ways of serving love and truth. We didn't have to go through traditional publishing. We could do Lulu, we could do a self-publishing thing, or we could tape stickers to to places of authority. We could place things in public restrooms. We could be like this just radical distributing distro of this viral, under the surface and growing message. And we learned this from these children who are like, there's no authority that can bind me. So it was pretty much like, oh, okay, well, how much does 50 copies of this cost? Oh, I can pay for that today, and let's throw it out to this address and see what happens. Let's send 20 books here and see what happens. Let's take a few books to local libraries and just put them on the shelves and see what happens. We started like playing that way because we could be this as covert around the system edges with Love Economy Press. And then soon we got on radio shows, we got on YouTube, people found us in some of the obscure places, and they're like, I don't even know how this got into my library. I don't even know how I found this book. I don't even know how this came to me. So which was a common thing to hear. And then when a lot of these children started popping up, it was like half of them had one of your books, or they said, yeah, I read Rita's book. I know all about this. How did you get that? And so we've had an ebook for years. So of course, you could see that, or it was just that free. So that was one aspect that I really enjoyed. So.
And I started doing soul circles for babies, not for their benefit, but for the parents. It became a communication portal between parent and child. So a few parents were actually willing to know what their babies really were feeling before they could express it verbally. And because that became a common way, a common connection in the parent-child relationship, as they grew up and became more willful, the parents were still willing to know what their children were truly feeling and thinking. And sometimes the kids would just go grab the circle and say, here, mommy.
Well, I think what really happened too is that you allowed parents to view their children as souls from even before they were born. You allowed a lot of parents to just, oh yeah, I'd like to have a soul circle for my baby that I'm expecting. And this opportunity, and I think it was almost as a premonition for the new children, like we had said, but your soul circle could stay with a child their whole life and the parent their whole life. And it was this constant reminder and a constant activation, like we always knew 10 years ago, that these were activations that could occur over time, over and over again for you with your circles. Your circles kept parents knowing their child wasn't just someone that came from them, but they had their own soul. And that was the gift if certain parents were able to let themselves see that. And when those parents didn't have to go through the struggles that a lot of other parents had to go through, power struggles with their children as much.
Well, the training reversed. It was not the children who needed to be trained to be on this earth in a particular way, but the parents who needed to be trained by the greater wisdom that these kids bring with them that started to be born 10 years ago. And we had a sense of that happening and just got on board. So it was like the circles came to me as a precursor to this new way that the greater wisdom knew was coming. And the circles and Love Economy Press and your devotion to serving all of it and my creating from intuition just helped us, you and me, two of the old folks, just step into the new way and take Love Economy Press into the new way and just start from there rather than trying to figure out how to do things better and how to resist what wasn't going right, and just step out of it and do something different. Be, feel, think differently.
It was so funny because once we put a complete halt, and we said and it wasn't about desperation, but we would put a complete halt to it because this is what was happening. I mean, I quit my other jobs and I quit this and started doing some other things that received us funding. You quit being an artist and started writing screenplays that were just channeled. You're still an artist. I mean, you quit painting the same things. And we said, well, what happens if we quit? And we quit, and all of a sudden we got investors. People started photocopying their book. People started showing us the way to distribute. I mean, we quit and somebody, a neighbor of yours showed us a photocopied version of your book. Did you write this? Where is this from? And that was how it all started. These layers of quitting and just allowing, I guess. Whenever you quit something, we learned that we have to quit something new every day. But yeah.
The distribution, it just happened. Servers appeared and distributed everything that Love Economy Press created. So we didn't have to create a promotional marketing anything. We didn't have to do it the old way.
And the fact that we didn't do it that old way gave it more credibility now. We didn't do it that old artificial predatory way that, with the sales funnel, the clickbait and just looking back, it doesn't work anymore. 10 years later, that does not work. And, people.
Gratitude is a key ingredient in the new way of being. If there's no gratitude, you get kicked to the side kindly to learn that that's what's missing.
Yeah. One child said, "Oh, I remember. I looked back in a history book, and you guys, I likened to what all these other book publishers were doing as to K-Tel trying to sell records on TV now." So we didn't get into that system, so we weren't thrown into that from the new children. That we weren't K-Tel or Ronco to them, trying to sell a Vegemaster on an infomercial on cable television, which didn't work anymore. So that was kind of a fun little joke that a kid told me. But gratitude, that was, the whole system of gratitude, and we allowed that to happen because we lived it. The book had to live that, and Love Economy Press had to live that. The fact that we held on to that authenticity back in the early days, back when, I was just, we both were hand to mouth, but we were happy. Yeah, we're still happy. Um, that's kind of like the testament that like kind of like, you know, we've just placed it in the river and we're waiting for the waterfall to push it along. And it, you know, time and time again, we just realized that we had to wait, and the waterfall pushed it right when we got out of the way. Then we actually knew what to do. This whole covert distribution that created more gravity toward it than any, you know, back then Facebook pages and Facebook groups and I look back at that and think, whoa, what was that world? Oh my gosh, what were we trying? What were we thinking? It's laughable. So it's, yeah, we have, it was, your channelings were all around the edges, and we needed to let it live in the edges, really let it take root.
I started to feel that those channeled books were for and from the new kids coming. And so we didn't even feel a need to distribute to adults, even early on, that the new souls coming would be directing people who were open enough to gratitude and open enough to just casting aside the old way and saying, I'm in. I'm going to absorb this because I am in for something new, regardless of where it takes us, because this is not working.
And it's just, I look back now, and 10 years ago when you started writing and we started it, you know, it was actually like, it was that seed. It was like a premonition. Everything was like a premonition. Everything took shape when it needed to take shape. And now as I look back, I connect all the dots, and I think, wow, had we decided to force the river, we would never be able to probably even have your writing see the light of day, or have it alongside this beautiful, you know, I won't even say alternative, this beautiful replacing beautiful system that's coming along. It's alongside. It is part of the ride.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't meant to be a, hi, we're going to teach you something new because we need to shift you. I look back now and like, no, that's not what this was about. This was just, you know, I think you wrote this so that it could be part of the new ride.
We were already learning from the new kids.
Long before they got here.
Yeah. And as they were arriving and not even speaking English yet, English or any other language verbally yet, just an energetic language.
Yeah, it's like your stroll circles for babies. It was like you had to engage in that. We had to learn from them. We had to take time with those. Yeah, it all just unfolded perfectly. And yeah.
I know, it's astounding even now.
Yeah, and wow, and I just, I kind of am glad that I can't go back in time and talk to my old self, so, because then I wouldn't have taken this journey to feel the way I feel now. And that's another thing that the kids are teaching us, is that coaching and all of that. Oh, learn from me so that you don't have to go through the struggle that I've gone through, and you can take a shortcut and you can do all that. That's an old lesson. That's a lesson in the past. It's not even a lesson anymore. That's like getting slapped with a ruler by your Catholic nun teacher. We let people own their experience through the totality of it. It's a beautiful thing. No shortcuts.
Right. You can make the road longer. And well, that's fine. But that's what the kids taught us, that there's a much straighter and easier path. Not even easier, just more accurate and truthful. And they also taught us that until the shift happened, there was really only so far we could go. The old way was going to be pervasive until the shift happened. And we just kept being ready to jump on to the new way from that feeling of that it was coming.
Oh, yeah. And we were called every name in the book. It was great. I look back and laugh, and oh gosh, I was called so many things. I was judged and called names, and love was withheld, and
medications.
Medication just was, people thought I needed a tinfoil hats, and you should, you've got magical thinking and imaginary friends, and it was a whole bag of ridicule that was thrown at us. It was so, now I look back and I'm like, whoa. Yeah, I'm glad we didn't care.
Right. We took a page from the new kids book early before they could even really show us that none of that mattered. They were called names in the beginning too, and they didn't care. And so we started practicing that before they were even showing that particular quality.
Yeah, so I think they've always been with us. I sometimes, I haven't shared this too much, but I believe in spirit they've been a quiet part of our audience for a long, long time before they've even shown up on this planet. And I talk to other people who are witnessing this or have witnessed it, and they feel the same way. They've always had that feeling behind them that they might call them angels, or they might call them spirits, or they might have called them guides. But once these kids showed up, many folks said, I feel like they've been here, been with me before they ever came into being on this planet.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how, now we look back and we're like, oh my gosh, yes. Through each step.
Yeah. And there was a surprising, a new baby boom after 2020. No one saw that coming, but it was time for these new souls to flood in and change everything.
Even with all the pharmaceuticals and all of the nasty things and the
scheduled cesareans, they weren't even having that. They came when they wanted. That was that.
And this baby boom it happened. And unexplained, and we were worried about depopulation.
They weren't having that either.
They weren't listening to that. So.
No.
I mean, had they not shown up, I think that probably would have been a very real thing. And and I'm not like putting them in a savior column, because I'll be corrected quickly if anybody takes on with that. I'm quickly corrected, like, do not put us in a savior column, Scott.
We came because we wanted to, and it was time for us.
Yeah.
We
So
weren't part of the equation. It was for us.
right, and it's like, they start saying you're welcome, and I'm like, you're saying you're welcome to me. When I heard that the first time, I about fell on the floor. So it was like, and it was my lesson in just gratitude. We had to learn to be gracious for, this is their time. They came in here, and we're so lucky just to be here at the time they are. It's not about them being a savior. This is when it happened. And they'll be the first to tell you, do not put us in a savior category. We're not here for that.
You're on your own.
And that's the paradox, because for many people that is a saving thing. So they're not here to be a savior, but it is the paradox, because being on your own, learning to be on your own can really save a person.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah. Only we attach a name savior to make us feel better, so that we don't have to, like,
Well, at some point we started noticing that those who were not willing to save themselves, be self-responsible, or not saved.
Yeah.
The whole savior notion has been disappearing.
Yeah, the victim savior, overlords and underlings, and that's why our systems are toppling too. That's another topic we were talking about, Love Economy Press. But yeah, that's why our systems are toppling. They relied on us feeling that paradigm of victim empowered and all of that. And yeah, these kids have nothing to do with that.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, and I'm actually just intrigued to, like, what's happening next. I mean, we have turned down, big publishing houses for Love Economy Press. We don't need them.
We don't. Yeah.
We don't need them.
It's not part of the deal.
They're like, we'll give you money. Your money isn't worth anything.
There's no gratitude with it. It's just paper.
We've been there. Give us money. Oh, but you could live in a big house. Oh, we've been there. But they're climbing the walls. It's so funny. The publishing houses are still part of that whole past system. A few aren't, but many of them still are latching onto that old system. And that was another thing. 10 years ago, we kind of knew that. You even had like oh gosh, when was it? Possible publishing thing 10 years ago, and you thought, oh, you quit that, and then all the books came about. It's the things we'd never known. You just let go, channeled, downloaded them, let them speak.
Mm-hmm.
We were an open channel for some of the messages of these children before they were even here, just because we got out of the way and just allowed it.
Right. Yeah. And that right there created so many new systems, so many ways of believing things had to be just got wiped clean for the new way to step in.
Yeah. I'm intrigued to know what happens next, but I learned through experience that I can't. I'll just discover it, notice it as evidence. So we both are kind of like, well, what's next? We've seen this. We'd still see tragedy, of course, but it's exciting to know what's going to know that things are going to happen next. It's just exciting. Some people are panicking. Maybe they need to panic. We're excited. We panicked. We needed to panic then.
Yeah.
Wow, I feel like this has been the whole overarching summary of a lot of things. So our 10 years ago, hopefully we'll have cosmic dialogue for 20 years from now. So that we can progress to here, if that makes any sense.
Mm-hmm.
To anyone watching from past, present, whatever year this is in their reality. So thank you, Rita.
Yeah, very good. Thank you.
Take care.
You too.